Welcome back to the Full Force Movie News Burst Weekly Roundup, brought to you by GeneralsJoes Reborn.com with me, Christopher McLeod, aka Kidney Stone 80, and Justin Generals Joes Bell. In these incredibly irregular movie-related episodes, we bring you all the news from the G.I. Joe movie world. What is it, Justin?
It's the Full Force Movie News Burst Weekly. You said it like 30 seconds ago, so I was...
You're ready.
I was ready.
It was in your head.
Yeah.
So if you've seen the other weekly, then you know about why I'm in the US still and not in the United Kingdom. Let's not get into it. I've already given Justin all of the gory details anyway.
Very gory. How are Rock On and Stondar doing anyway?
They're still in there.
They've lodged themselves
Rock
in your cave.
Rock On. I've got Nugget in this one, and I've got Granite in this one, and I'm going to be passing some Rock Lords eventually. Good shout out on the Motu code.
I only did it because you mentioned it before we started recording. I'm like, I'm going to sound smart now, but
good shout
I stole
anyway.
it from you.
Good shout anyway. So that's me. Kidney stone to the max. Let's get into the news. Let's get my mind off that and into the news.
Let's get all of our minds off that, if we could, please.
Yeah, I think that's probably best for everybody involved. In Paramount Restructuring news, much like my kidneys, following the massive hierarchical restructuring at Paramount Pictures, Deadline have reported that Emma Watts, the president of Paramount Pictures Motion Picture Group, has resigned after what was described as not the greatest of meetings with newly appointed CEO Brian Robbins. Watts was instrumental in rebuilding Paramount with Jim Giannopoulos following the downfall of the studio in 2017, and she was touted as the replacement of the CEO once he'd resigned. In 2020, she was appointed as the overseer of the Transformers and G.I. Joe live-action movie franchises, and following this meeting with Robbins and subsequent resignation, two new names will head up the motion picture group in Watts' place. Mike Ireland and Darius Surchek will now lead the motion picture group as co-presidents, which includes looking after the G.I. Joe live-action movie franchise. Justin, new heads of the G.I. Joe movies, do you expect much in the way of change with the films going forward?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure how much these people are directly involved in sort of the production of the film. I would say it probably depends. Some downstream impacts. I mean, if they decide that they want somebody else besides, Lorenzo de Bonaventura being involved directly with the films, that could potentially signal some kind of more boots on the ground change. But I don't really think, just to change the executive level is really, I don't believe you're going to see a whole lot of downstream effects on the individual films themselves unless they make decisions about lower level producers and things like that.
Yeah. I imagine they're going to make some decisions based on streaming as opposed to not streaming in this case, though. Do you think?
Probably. Yeah, that's a good bet. Yeah, they would be involved in some of those conversations and some of those decisions for sure.
It seems as though they've gone for these guys, and when you look at the restructuring process, they seem to be doing this with an eye on a big change and a big shift in what the company is about. And it's a shame, Jim Giannopoulos and Emma Watts were really, very important in the company's turnaround from that 2017 to kind of now, where we are now. They probably wouldn't have had a company without what they did in that kind of lead up. So it's quite a bit of a bittersweet one when you look at it from the outside. And it seems as though, again, reading between the lines, the meeting between Brian Robbins and Emma Watts didn't go very well by the sounds of things. But Brian Robbins has come out since and he said something along the lines of, we wish Emma all the luck in the future. There's no bad blood, etc., etc. But there must have been that kind of resentment from them having turned the tide to then being kind of shifted on a little bit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, any meeting with a CEO that ends in you resigning, I can't imagine that was a very good conversation. But who knows? I mean, it's always interesting kind of how these things happen at that sort of level, especially the executive level.
In related news to that as well, we got some streaming news. And that's that HISSTANK reported from the Goldman Sachs 30th Annual Communicopia Conference to learn more about Paramount's future plans. Viacom CBS president and CEO Bob Bakish stated that in the future Paramount will send low-budget movies directly to their Paramount Plus streaming platform, while kids' family-friendly movies will see day and day release, which is a term for theatrical and streaming releases at the same time, and big-budget movies will see a theatrical release followed by a short 45-day window before a home release. Bakish did state, however, that such plans may change in the future. I can see their reasoning for this sort of release schedule in an attempt to balance out an absolute dumpster fire that is the world right now, but only time will tell if this is a necessary or even successful course of action. It's hard to foresee a future where streaming isn't the dominant force, so much so that the movie theatres become a distant memory, or at the very least have a much smaller footprint in the industry. I personally hope they remain, as there aren't many things better than an epic film on the big screen. Ideally, we can get to a more balanced place soon where both things can coexist without the fear of extinction, but one thing at a time, I guess. Justin, it's a clear release schedule here now confirmed by Bakish. Do you think this is a good compromise in order to reach a balance with theatres?
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad one. I've been pretty vocal that I think a day-and-day release for theaters and streaming is a viable option, as long as the studios can kind of develop a contract with the actors and things like that to represent that. I think Disney just settled their lawsuit with Scarlett Johansson, so maybe that's a sign of that sort of thing still to come. But so yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of streaming, but at the same time, I don't think it's an either-or situation. I don't think you necessarily have to choose between streaming and theater. I think both can coexist. I just think there needs to be a kind of evaluation of how that's structured. And I really think, the way Disney Plus handled Black Widow, I mean, not the contract issues with Scarlett Johansson, because that was a significant oversight and it was clearly not fair, but a kind of premium price for day of release plus the theatrical release, I think is a good compromise, because you're earning some revenue on that, people who want to watch the movie at home and are willing to pay that premium price. I mean, I would have paid $30 in a second to see Shang-Chi the day it was released. Instead, I haven't seen it, and then I'll watch it on Disney Plus when it's available for nothing, so I mean, or for my normal monthly fee. So I do think they kind of lost some opportunity for revenue there. So I think that's an effective compromise. I don't think you have to do that all the time, but I would have seen a time where maybe the low budget stuff goes direct to Paramount Plus, the kids and family friendly does day and day release, and then the big budget stuff could also do a day and day release, but you have to pay extra for the streaming version. I don't think that's unreasonable. And I know a lot of this is being driven by the theatrical companies themselves who want some sort of exclusivity. But it's a new kind of world now. Yeah. And even as, even if and when COVID does kind of settle down to a more manageable state, I just think it's going to take a lot for me to want to go back to the theater. I mean, I hate to say it, but that one opportunity not just one, because there was Black Widow and then all the stuff that HBO Max has been releasing day and day release, I've gotten accustomed to being able to watch the new movie on my home screen, and it's more comfortable. It's much more pleasant experience for me. I can kind of watch it at my own leisure.
Popcorn's cheaper.
Yeah, exactly. Like we said before, the stickiness on the floor is my own. So
it's worse, actually.
But yeah, so, I think there's going to be a lot of people like me who see the opportunity and realize that it's possible and kind of wonder, well, why aren't they just doing this?
Yeah, I mean, there's the other thing as well to me, on a slightly kind of more practical kind of standpoint, is that there's loads of movies I just won't see in the cinema just because I don't feel the need for speed. No, I don't feel the need to go when it's like a romantic comedy or something. Do you know what I mean? Like I kind of feel like if you're like certain films obviously make a lot of sense on the big screen, and a lot of people will argue all films make sense on the big screen, but I think in the times that we're in at the moment, it would make a lot more sense to have what they're doing, like the low budget stuff, the kid friendly stuff, all kind of hitting streaming around the same time. And even with the big budget stuff, I still think, given the option, people will pay more money to see it in their own house. And by doing that, they're making even more money. I know the theaters are going to be the issue here, and that's the thing.
Right.
That is the problem. It's like people, the accommodation for that. And I do also feel like it's worth keeping theaters, because obviously you've got people's jobs at risk. You've got a huge amount of space and time and effort and energy involved in all of that. And I definitely understand the reasoning for trying to keep them, but I guess you kind of have to move with the times sometimes, and that does mean destroying sometimes complete industries, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, but sometimes that's kind of what happens, as technology evolves and as, you expect. I mean, look at Blockbuster. I mean, it's a shame, it's a shame that video stores are no more. I had a couple. I didn't really have a local Blockbuster, but I had a couple other local video stores that I really enjoyed going to and browsing the shelves. But the industry changed and they didn't adapt quickly enough to it. And that's kind of what happens. And yes, it's a shame that thousands of video stores closed across the country. The people that worked at those video stores have moved on to other careers and things like that. And I'm not saying I want that to happen to the theatrical industry. I absolutely don't. I think there's room for both, like I said. But as the world evolves, it's the business's responsibility to try to evolve with it and try to adapt to it, rather than, just putting their foot down and saying, no, you cater to us.
Yeah.
We're the customer. So I think, to some degree, we should expect some catering to our needs.
That's a very good point. And I can see obviously the footprint. I think in my description, I was kind of saying that I feel like the footprint of theatres is going to get smaller. And, again, that, you're still keeping some of them around, but I don't see a future where streaming isn't the dominant force.
Right.
I can see that almost being, do you remember when IMAX movies theaters came out? They were like, it would be like a whole building. It'd be like one specific IMAX theater in a place. I could see it being like that. I could see theaters turning into one screen type. Like very, I don't know, few and far between, but that's one of those special things that you go and do,
right?
As opposed to something that you go very often. Like I used to go to the cinema on a weekly basis. I was going with friends and stuff like that. So it's definitely something I've always enjoyed doing. But again, you look at what the world is doing now, and it's changed dramatically.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it
anyway.
Has.
That's streaming news, and again, it all sounds like bad. We're just so depressed and down at the moment. Let's have a little bit of an uptick here in Japanese promo news. So with Snake Eyes G.I. Joe Origins, or Jet Black G.I. Joe Jet Black Snake Eyes, I think it's called in Japan, dropping in Japan on October 22nd, the official channels have been promoting the film. The Japanese Twitter account for the movie posted a fun trailer with a new theme tune for Japanese audiences, and man, it is fun. For months and months we had to endure a new level being played on almost every single post, even though I liked that track initially. Who am I kidding? I still bang it. Anyway, Japan have a new tune to blast over and over again called Stealth Dive by the appropriately named band Ninja Kaiji. Justin, are you a fan of this one?
Oh, this was great. I mean, just the choreography and the trailer and the music, I think they did a fantastic job. I absolutely loved it. I think I actually shared the video on GeneralsJoes and said I'd almost rather watch this on loop for 2 hours rather than watch the movie again, which might be a little harsh, but yeah, I mean, I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it a lot.
It's I remember, I think you posted it in the group first, said to announce that Twitter, the Japanese promos on going nuts or whatever, and I kind of searched to find it, and when I clicked on it, the track that came on it, I was like, this is brilliant. It was like the intro to one of the Transformers Japanese cartoons or something. You know what I mean? That's what it reminded me of. And some of the graphics were different and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, there was a real, I don't know, it kind of breathed new life into it a little bit, didn't it?
It did.
And I'm not sure if you've seen the video, but they've got an actual music video as well, the band. And,
no, I did not see that. I have not seen the actual music video.
And it's great. Again, the The lyrics are incredible, right? Like, you know what it's like with some of the Japanese kind of English translations. None of it makes sense half the time. It always reminds me of that South Park episode when they're playing. What was it? It's like a Japanese anime style episode, and they do a song called "Let's Fighting Love," which is actually similar to the Japanese G.I. Joe Takara commercial, which was I think the theme tune was really similar. It was like "Fighting Love" something, wasn't it? I can't remember what it was exactly, but that's what it reminds me of. One of the lyrics has the word in it. And I'm gonna have to beep that and blur it out on screen. But if you watch the music video, which there'll be a link in there for, you'll find it. And it's just I listened to it, saw it, and burst into tears of laughter when they said the word. But yeah, brilliant. And it's funny because it's like it's almost like it has nothing to do with the tone of the film, does it?
No, not really. I mean, the lyrics themselves are they're completely separate from the actual film itself, but just the way they kind of choreograph the action and kind of put the two together, just it was really effective in kind of doing what they wanted to do.
I find it funny that the Japanese movie poster has had nothing to do with the film, and now the theme tune has nothing to do with the film either.
I know.
Promo. It's like, yeah, it's almost like they're promoting a completely different film, but it's great. It's hilarious. If you haven't seen it, check it out in the links below. And yeah, that is Stealth Dive by Ninja Kaiji. Right, okay, so the last thing to do then is to get into Virtual Running Club update news, and mine is going to be very quick, I think. Yeah, we are taking part in the Virtual Running Club Snake Eyes Movie Challenge, and now it's time to share our progress. I'm going to go first quickly, just to say that mine's taken a bit of a dip based on the fact that do you know what? I was so excited to go to the UK because I was going to start running on the beach again, and that was going to be like I was so excited to do it. I'd have done it already, which is annoying.
Yeah,
that's not happened. I'm gutted, but I'm going to have to pass this kidney stone quick, and then get on to doing some serious running.
I would say Rock On and Stondar are running 5Ks in your kidneys right now.
They are definitely.
Laps. Yeah.
I'll put their numbers through.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
How about you, mate? How are you getting on?
I'm doing all right. I mean, I got the new treadmill. I've taken it for a few miles, a couple times a week. So I'm definitely using it, but I have not done like the active kind of tasks that.
It's going to be the last day, isn't it? It's going to be the last day.
I don't even know when the last day is. I better figure that out because this thing doesn't go forever. It's going to end at some point. So I'll have to remind myself what the last day to do it is and make sure I jump on that treadmill and make it happen. Could
you imagine having to do all 3 challenges on the last day?
That would not be good.
15K. One part of that 5K would be, weighted. The second part would be as fast as you can, and I can't even remember what the third part was.
There was the ruck. There's the weighted, the ruck on, and then there was, I think, going as far as you could in an hour.
Oh, that was it. That was it. Yeah, that isn't even 10. That isn't even 5K. That's just as far as you can in an hour.
Because technically, you could just walk and just say, made half a mile in an hour, but.
Does an inch count? Can I say that? I'm just going to be studying the distance that the stones are taking to get out of my body. But mate, yeah. So yeah, we've kind of we keep hitting these walls, don't we? It's ridiculous. I still think you're in a better position to do this than I am right now. So.
I mean, I work out every day. It's just a matter of doing what they're asking me to do. So I'll have to get off my butt and just do it. You could easily just say, rather than doing all those other ridiculous things I have to do today, I'll just try that 5K and just see what happens. Or just go for a long run and see how far you go in an hour. But yeah, I'm gutted I'm not going to be able to do it the way I wanted to do it. Do you know when you're going to head to the UK yet? Have you
Christmas?
Christmas, not until then. Yeah.
So we already had that planned. So it's not even like I've rejigged something. I've just had to cancel an entire. Yeah. Oh well. Life happens. It could be worse, I think.
Yeah, I mean, at least it's the UK. What is it? It's like rainy and whatever. It's not like you're going to the Bahamas or something. It's someplace cool.
It's not like there's anything cool waiting for you.
It's just England, but whatever.
Anyway, Justin, I guess that brings us...
Well, now that I think of it, comparing what's going on in America, what's going on with England, maybe England's probably the better choice.
I don't know. They're both in disarray.
That's true. They're both kind of screwed. Yeah.
Everywhere's screwed.
The whole world is a show at the moment. But.
Let's leave it on that.
Thanks for joining us. Yeah.
Kidney stones
leave on
and
a
everything.
Happy note. Yeah.
Kidney stones and everything is apart from, and in fact, if you just listen to the stealth dive by Ninja Kaiji, everything will be fine.
Everything's better. Yeah, just keep watching that when you're feeling down. That'll lift your mood.
Absolutely. Anyway, Justin, that brings us to the end. Thank you so much for joining me, mate. Really appreciate it.
No problem. No problem at all.
I don't really appreciate it.
I'm
right. Kidding. Thank you for watching the Full Force Movie News Burst Weekly. Massive thank you to my awesome co-host Justin Bell. See you next time, and as always, after 3, 1, 2, 3, Full
Force.
Kill me. Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing and commenting on these videos, and as always you can keep up with the show after listening by following on Twitter @TheFullForce, liking the Facebook page facebook.com/TheFullForce, and if you would like to contact the show you can message us on either of those platforms with feedback and questions. We also have a Patreon page, so if you want to show your support for the show, see your name up in lights on these videos, or enjoy exclusive bonus content, then check out patreon.com/TheFullForce podcast, or click on the link on any of the posts this podcast appears in. Full Force.